It's not been long since 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports filed an antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR. But just in this short span of time, things have escalated a lot. Amidst all these escalations, 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports have a shocking request for NASCAR. A few weeks back, NASCAR proposed the new charter agreement and gave the teams a deadline to sign it. Within that deadline, 13 out of the 15 teams had signed the contract. 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports refused to do so, claiming that the agreement was not fair, and that NASCAR is abusing their power to force the teams into signing the agreement. Although 13 teams did sign the agreement, there were several team owners who anonymously claimed that they felt forced to sign it. But 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports stood their ground. And we will stand our ground as the best NASCAR news channel on YouTube. No matter what, NASCAR Off Track will be here to provide the best content. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now, they've filed an antitrust lawsuit, claiming that NASCAR has been negotiating in bad faith and is looking to take advantage of their power. This lawsuit could go on for months, maybe even years. So there's no doubt that things won't be settled in time for the start of the 2025 season. So this could mean that the two teams who have filed the lawsuit will not be able to participate in the 2025 season. However, they are requesting NASCAR to allow them to do so. In the coming days, we will file a preliminary injunction to enable our teams to race in the next calendar year under the 2025 charter agreement, while continuing to pursue our antitrust litigation. The filing will seek discovery from both NASCAR and Jim France related to their exclusionary practices and intent to insulate themselves from any competition. 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports will seek treble damages for the anti-competitive terms that teams have been subject to under the 2016 charter agreement. Both Front Row Motorsports and 2311 Racing are looking to remain on the NASCAR grid under the 2025 charter agreement. Once a new agreement is finalized, all the teams will transition to the new terms and conditions. But is this something NASCAR would want to do? Seems unlikely. In the past, we have seen NASCAR handle similar things with a bit of do-or-die policy. Back in 1961, there was one driver, Curtis Turner, and his business partner, Burton Smith. Turner tried to form a union with Smith. They sought help from the Teamsters Union to form the Federation of Professional Athletes, or FPA. However, Bill France Sr. was not happy with this at all. Given that NASCAR has always been a private company, they can operate as they wish. And Bill France made it clear that any union-affiliated driver would not be a part of the NASCAR grid. The rest of the drivers quickly fell into line in fear of not being able to race in NASCAR. A similar thing happened again in 1969 when Richard Petty and a few other drivers decided to boycott a race. France Sr. just got other drivers to fill the empty seats and continued on with the race. Bill France Jr. could be looking to do the same thing here as well. With 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports having filed a case, France Jr. could ban them from the 2025 grid as they have not signed the charter agreement yet. This could scare the rest of the teams off joining the lawsuit, and could even cause 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports to drop their lawsuit. But the two teams have also shown some stubbornness from their side, which could result in a battle. Ever since the start of the negotiations, Denny Hamlin has been vocal about what he and the other teams are looking for in a new contract. They wanted the teams to earn more money and have more control in the sporting rules and regulations. However, NASCAR has said they will not do so. Front Row Motorsports and 2311 included a list of what they called anti-competitive practices from NASCAR leadership, buying a majority of the premier racetracks that are exclusive to NASCAR races, imposing exclusivity deals on NASCAR-sanctioned racetracks, acquiring Automobile Racing Club of America, or ARCA, the only notable stock car racing series competitor, preventing teams from participating in any other stock car races while also retaining ownership over next-gen parts and cars, forcing teams to buy their parts from single-source suppliers chosen by NASCAR. However, NASCAR is not willing to succumb to these demands. They want to retain control of the sport and govern it as they see fit. They also want to retain the majority of the revenue instead of sharing more with the teams. Ideally, it is in NASCAR's best interest to settle the case outside the courtroom. If things head to the courtroom, anything can happen. Besides, the financial records of NASCAR, which used to be private, will suddenly become public. This may not be the best thing for NASCAR, as they will not want to reveal how much revenue they generate in the season. If that is revealed, more teams will find their fee unfair and demand for a larger piece of the pie. 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports have hired Jeffrey Kessler to represent the teams. He will be taking on NASCAR in this lawsuit. Here's what he had to say about the lawsuit. There is no other major sport where one family has run that sport as its own personal fee stub and piggy bank, the way that NASCAR has been run, Kessler said. We will see what impact that has in terms of how they try to defend themselves. We will see what impact that has in terms of whether it's possible to settle this case, or whether we have to take it all the way through trial. Either way, we're prepared to do what's necessary to effectuate change. Given that this will be an antitrust lawsuit, NASCAR stands to lose a lot from it. An antitrust lawsuit can have significant negative implications for NASCAR, affecting its business model, competitive landscape, and overall operations. Antitrust laws are designed to prevent monopolistic practices, promote fair competition, and protect consumers. If NASCAR were to face an antitrust lawsuit, several consequences could arise that might hurt the organization and its ecosystem. An antitrust lawsuit could lead to hefty legal fees, fines, and settlements. For a large organization like NASCAR, even if they have significant financial resources, these costs could divert funds away from critical areas like driver development, race promotions, or track improvements. Furthermore, if the lawsuit leads to punitive damages or a mandatory restructuring, it could weaken the company's financial health over time. NASCAR operates as a tightly controlled governing body with exclusive rights to sanction events, control media deals, and establish rules for teams and tracks. An antitrust lawsuit could challenge this centralized control, accusing NASCAR of monopolistic practices that hinder competition within motorsports. This could lead to demands for restructuring how NASCAR operates, potentially opening the door for rival organizations to host races or share broadcasting rights. If NASCAR were forced to relinquish some of its control, it could hurt the consistency and appeal of the sport, which relies on a unified product offering. NASCAR's ability to control schedules, venues, and media contracts in a cohesive way helps maintain its identity and brand power. An antitrust lawsuit might force NASCAR to make concessions that benefit smaller, less established competitors. If NASCAR is found guilty of limiting competition through exclusivity contracts or other restrictive practices, they may be compelled to allow other race sanctioning bodies to compete in ways that could dilute NASCAR's influence. This could lead to a fragmented motorsport market where NASCAR has less control, affecting everything from sponsorship deals to viewership numbers. Any major lawsuit, especially one tied to antitrust accusations, can damage NASCAR's reputation. A prolonged legal battle might make the organization seem predatory or unfair in its business practices, alienating fans, sponsors, and business partners. NASCAR has worked hard to build a loyal fan base and a trusted brand over the years, and an antitrust lawsuit could put that trust in jeopardy, especially if negative headlines dominate the news cycle. NASCAR teams and drivers are heavily reliant on the current system for their livelihoods. If an antitrust lawsuit results in significant changes to the structure of the sport, such as a restructuring of race payouts, media revenue sharing, or sponsorship deals, it could disrupt the financial ecosystem teams depend on. Smaller teams might struggle to survive, while larger teams could face limitations on how they operate or engage with sponsors. An antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR would not only pose financial and operational risks, but could also weaken the entire structure of the sport. The centralized model that has helped NASCAR maintain its identity and market power could be fractured, leading to long-term challenges for both the organization and the broader motorsports industry. So now NASCAR will have a very important choice to make. Should they put pressure on the teams by not allowing them to participate in the 2025 season? Or should they allow the teams to participate in the 2025 season and risk losing a percentage of the revenue to the teams? Or should they risk everything they have and go for a battle in the courts? Post your thoughts in the comment section below.